Welcome to Hope Hub. Hope Hub is a community for widows where they can find or where you can find support, resources, and a community that you can connect with. I built Hope Hub for widows because I am a widow as well. I lost my husband about 2 years ago, and when I went looking for community, I had a difficult time finding it, especially where I live in Massachusetts. And so I decided to create it on my own. And my first venture was to do a retreat, and I'm so excited. This is so full circle. I was just chatting with Michelle before. We got on here, and I was actually one of my first podcasts that I did was with her, and her real podcast. This is my kind of more discussion based podcast. Um, my maybe it's a podcast when I grow up kind of thing. We talk about baby widows. Maybe this is a baby podcast.
Yeah.
And then Michelle actually joined us at my first retreat that I did, where Jen, I mean, this is all first look right here,
Yeah,
was
really.
in
That's where we
attendance.
met.
And I mean, it hasn't even been a year. It seems like so long ago, right?
Right. Does.
But it was an incredible experience, and I've been grateful to you, Michelle, for guiding me and showing me the way, whether you
Mm,
realize it or not. And so I'm really glad to have you here.
mm.
And so Michelle and I will chat for a little bit about her experience and hope and all of the amazing things that she does. And then we'll turn it into more of a little bit of a discussion between the three of us, and we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yes.
So Michelle is an author, a speaker, and the founder of Widow Goals, which is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering widows to find healing, purpose, and loss. She has a book out. She leads communities of her own. She has this amazing podcast that I just mentioned, an amazing Facebook community, and is now doing retreats of your own, which like blow me away whenever I see them. Like, holy moly, you are killing it.
Oh, thank you.
So, first, this is the club that none of us want to be in. And so if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing how your journey and how you got here,
Yeah.
and then we'll flip the switch because, into taking how we, that pain that we experience and how we've turned it into passion.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's been fun watching you grow up from a baby widow to what you're doing now, and that you just dove in when you still were very new, kind of like I did. I was like 11 months in when I started my podcast, and you were a baby widow when you did your retreats. And just to see what you're growing here with this awesome community, it's been really fun to watch. So thank you. So, my story in a nutshell, because it would take forever to tell it all. I met my husband Luke in high school, and we got married several years later because we went to college, all of that stuff, came back, got married. He got diagnosed with a very rare bone cancer in his leg when he was 25. Did chemo, it didn't work. They ended up amputating his leg, which was a complete life shift. Oh, and we were pregnant at the time. He lost his leg, which we considered his cancer-free day for 13 years. We went on to have two more kids. So we had three kids in 3.5 years, plus all his stuff. It was a lot of craziness at one time. And then it came back 13 years later. The cancer did in his lungs. And this time it was terminal. And it was much harder going through it with kids.
Mhm.
And he fought a good battle for a little over 3 years. And May 23rd, 2020, he passed away. And I was left as a 41-year-old widow with three teenagers, and like, okay, what now? Like in an instant, as everyone listening knows, you go from married to single in an instant, your whole life shifts. And I always thought widows were just like in their 70s or 80s. Like that's
Mhm.
all I knew about widows. Like I did not know they were like our age and younger.
Right, right, right.
Like that's what I thought. Literally, my image of a widow was someone like in a black dress with like a gray bun with cats crawling on her. That's what I thought a widow was until I became widowed. And I searched everywhere in the local areas, at local churches. I could not find any support for widows. And I was like, this is crazy. Like, there should be something for widows. And so, actually, before I started my nonprofit, I started the very first thing I did was Actually, I think it was the podcast. Yes. Myself and a widower, we started a podcast called Widowed Too Soon, and we're coming up on the 5 year anniversary of the podcast, which is crazy.
Wow,
May
that's
4th will be
amazing.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was really cool because, and ours is a faith-based podcast. We would do it from the widower's perspective with little kids and the widow with teenagers. And we just talked about life for the first couple years. I haven't gone back and listened, but it would be very interesting because my life was in a completely different place. We talked about dating again, like what that world is like. You know, it's like my whole journey of dating Joel, who I'm now married to 3 years. It's like our whole journey. And then we started, he left the podcast a couple years ago, and I just decided to do interviews. And now I interview widows from all over the world. It's very, very fascinating and interesting. And then I started a nonprofit for widows, which you mentioned, Widow Goals, which is widows helping widows not only survive but thrive. And it just started with like local meetups. And so we started one here I'm in Vancouver, Washington area. And it went so well that we ended up launching we're in like 30 some cities. And as of like 2 days ago, we got Australia. Super excited about
Oh my
that.
gosh, that's
Yeah, I did.
amazing.
I put out applications once in a while, and a woman from somewhere in Australia applied, and now she's in the group. And so that was really cool. So I started building these groups. And then in 23, we had our first retreat just here in Vancouver where I live. And it was like 20 widows. And then the next one was like 12. And then the one we just did, we had 72 registered, but there was a snowstorm, but we braved it. And 58 of us showed up in Dallas, Texas in January. When we were planning it, somebody was like, sometimes there can be snow in in Texas in January. I'm like,
Like,
nah.
no.
Our 3 night retreat turned into a 5 night retreat, which was
Mm.
crazy, but so many awesome things happened.
You made
Um,
the news.
we
We
made
did
the
make the
news.
news.
Yeah, I was already gone, so I wasn't actually on it, but my whole group was
Oh.
there. I know. But it was really cool to be featured. Anyways, like there's so many things that happen. And every time I do a retreat, you might feel like this when you do it. I'm like, never again. So much
Yep.
work. But what happened this time? So it was basically two of us who planned the last one. This time, people, including Jen Lavoie, stepped up and said, I want to help next time. So we are kind of forming a team of all these people who are going to be helping. So it's no longer on me anymore. So that's actually really exciting. Another thing that I haven't talked about yet, Jen Lavoie doesn't know this either. I'm starting a new podcast I'm super excited about. It's called Out of the Fog and Into the Light, rebuilding your life when everything changes. Because I'm like, I'm tired of just the widow world. Maybe we're tired. People
Yeah.
cycle in and they cycle out. Like, I don't want to listen to widow stories over and over. So this is going to be kind of like next steps. How do I rebuild my life? I'm launching the first one this week. So lots of exciting projects going on. Yeah, that's in a nutshell some of the stuff I've been doing. But my absolute favorite thing is retreats, just gathering these women together who get it. It's
Yeah.
like you just get it the moment you meet another widow. Like, even if you have different faith beliefs or, different whatever walks of life, when you walk into a room of someone who's widowed, you get it. And so that's why that has become my passion. I think is my favorite thing now. We're planning another retreat for October. We're going back to the same camp because this time we want to experience it when we're not snowed in, because we were supposed to do
Right.
zip lining and all this fun stuff. We were snowed in. So we didn't get to do any of that. And so we're going back. My favorite thing, we did widow prom, which we're going
I
to do
was
as
gonna
every
ask
single.
you. That was definitely one on my list of questions to ask you.
Yeah, so
Because I
this is
love
how it
that. I was actually telling
started.
somebody about that today. I was like, this.
Widow prom, what is this? Okay, and I gotta tell Jen Lavoie doesn't know this part either about what we're gonna do this next year. So it started out as an author night because I wrote a book and then I was like, I'm gonna ask like 5 other authors to come, widowed authors, and share their books. So that's how it started. And it was just like, wear a formal dress if you want. I got a red carpet. And it was the day of, I'm like, you guys, we're gonna have a widow prom tonight. And then the theme kind of stuck. And now people are already, somebody the other day was like, I already bought my widow prom dress.
Oh
Anybody
my,
else? And so now it's going to be this thing where every year we like look forward to it and everyone's going to know how dressy it is. Nobody knew this year. And this
right.
year we're going to have a widow prom queen.
Prom queen.
And so
Of
how that we're going
course,
to
you can't have a prom without a prom queen,
I
right?
know. So we're going to take nominations for a widow that's making a difference in her community, whatever that is.
God, I
And
love that.
so that is going to be so amazing. I was telling one of my non-widowed friends, she's like, but I think they should all get crowns. Like all widows should get crowns. And I'm like, I agree, but we're going to choose one.
Right, right. I actually
So,
went to a nonprofit, like a gala benefit for an organization that helps widows, and they didn't do a prom queen per se, but they did nominate kind of a woman of the
Yeah.
year, and she got a crown and she got a
Yes.
sash, and
That's
it
what
was
we're
like a
thinking.
whole like the music playing. It was like a whole dramatic
Yeah, that's what I'm
thing.
kind of thinking we're going to do this year, and it's going to be fun. But just what I saw in these women, like I said, ours is a faith-based retreat. I just saw them growing closer to God. But the biggest thing I saw is the community. They became like good friends, and then having the extra nights together was crazy. And just seeing this bond from day one, when so many of them were scared and didn't want to come in the building, and
Yeah.
then to like where we're like best friends and we're laughing and just having the best time and people feeling like they're not alone. I'm sure this is what you get from your community and your retreats too.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing people walk away with is I don't feel alone anymore. I can do this.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
mean,
so
I always say, people come in as strangers and they leave as friends.
yes. Yes.
And I remember when I did my first in-person support group, so not even a retreat, it was just like an hour on a
Yeah.
Tuesday night. And you're right, people are so nervous. And I mean, you're in a really difficult place.
Yeah.
You're very vulnerable. Your whole life, as you said, has been completely turned upside
Hmm.
down. And you have to be really brave. I always say the people that come to any of the events or sessions or even my online community, like you're very brave for
Yes.
taking that step to take care of yourself because that's really what it's all about. It's taking care of
Hmm.
yourself. And so, but yes, once they're in, they're in for life.
Oh
And
yeah.
Jen knows this. We have our WhatsApp groups from our first retreat last summer, and then I did another one
Yeah.
in the fall, and I'm doing another one in May, which me
Awesome.
too. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this again. And
Right?
it's just you can't like the experience is so
Hmm.
profound that it's really incredible. And so, yes, I have followed, everything that you've done, and you're right. Like you've transformed so many people's lives, and you've brought so many people together and built these incredibly rich communities. And I love this new. So interestingly, your new podcast. So that's how I started was with this idea that I wanted to create communities for
Yeah.
people going through all
I
life
remember that.
transitions.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I remember talking to it was the Allison who helps me with my social media because I
Yeah.
am not a good at social media. And I remember her saying to me, who is your audience? And I was like, everyone. And she's like, what do you mean everyone? I'm like, well, everybody goes through life transitions. And she was like, oh, honey, like we need to narrow this down.
Yeah.
And so
Hmm.
why I ended up. And it's almost like I love that you're kind of going opposite, where you start, or similarly, I guess you started with this
Hmm.
widow community and then you're broadening it because you're right. Everybody goes, or not everyone, but a lot of people go through these dark times. So congrats on that.
Thank you.
Tell us about your book. I also keep watching the incredible success of that. Like, what was that
Yes.
process like? What was
Yes.
yeah, I remember seeing something, a post, and you're like, I'm going into like a cabin in the woods to write for like a
Oh,
week.
yeah. Yeah, it was a process. So about a year ago, January of 25, I realized it was almost going to hit the 5-year anniversary of Luke's death. And I had written 3 chapters of my book my first year. I was in this contest, this whole thing. So I'd written the whole outline and 3 chapters. I knew nothing. I was such a baby widow. It was not the time for me to finish the book. So widow goals, steps to finding peace when you lose your spouse, is 30 goals that can be taken in any order, like get out of bed, re-enter social spaces. There's a chapter about dating, if that's something you choose. I tell people if you're not ready or you don't care about dating, just skip the chapter,
Yeah.
as well as solo parenting. I have a chapter about that, and people can skip that if it doesn't apply to them. But it has done really well. I mean, it sells pretty much every single day. Copies of it sell. In December, so we launched it May 23rd, which was the 5-year anniversary of Luke's death. Had an amazing book launch. We had about 75 people, and about 40 of them were widowed. It was powerful. I said, stand up if you're widowed. And then I said, stand up if you love a widow. And everybody stood up, and it was just beautiful
Oh,
to see.
I love
And
that.
just like we did at your retreat, the theme was know that you are chosen. And it
Yeah.
was all about like, you were chosen for this journey, chosen to be the spouse. And it was beautiful. And then in December, we crossed 1,000 copies sold. And then I haven't checked since then how many, but then I decided to make it into a whole program. People were telling me they were getting together in groups and doing my book because it has questions and things. And then I created a workbook, and then I created a leader's guide. And so the point is that anybody could take this and they could lead it. And so that's been exciting to kind of grow it as a program. I see it kind of like a grief share, but for widows, for people that are familiar with grief share, like
Yeah.
specifically for widows and widowers. So that's been exciting. And just watching the community grow. There's a huge online community, which is called Widow Too Soon Community, but yet they never know that it's a podcast. So I have to remind them
I
over
saw
and
you post
over.
that the other day. You're like, you guys know that this is a
This is a
podcast?
podcast. So I have
Yeah.
an automatic post that tells them that every week because they
Okay.
just don't. I need people to know. Like
Right, right.
so it's been amazing. Just I got to go to Nashville with my husband Joel like 2 weeks ago, or like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And it was NRB, which is National Religious Broadcasting Convention, where you're connecting like TV, radio, magazines, all the stuff with like Christian authors and things like that. And I had 4 interviews. 2 of them were TV, 2 were magazine, I think. And then I have 3 more set up for April,
Oh my
for
gosh.
different shows. Like mostly my platform is not about my book. It's about trying to make churches more aware that they need to be helping widows. Like that's my big thing is like the Bible talks about widows 103 times, yet so few churches help. And so why is this happening? Like, let's get something going. And so that's what most of the time I'm being interviewed about because
That's
they're like, you're right. This is a problem. It shouldn't be this way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, I should connect you. I've been in touch with the Reverend here, locally in Natick, and she's actually coming on for an interview, I think,
Oh,
in
awesome.
May. And we talk about the same thing. And I am, of another faith. I'm Jewish. I'm
Hmm.
not very religious, but she and I become really close, and
Yeah.
just kind of the connection, and she's a very liberal community, and they talk
Hmm.
about lots of different things, and I just have loved getting to know her, and
Hmm.
bringing that into the community in different ways.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
well, you are amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You do it all, and there are so many things that you do that I hope to achieve too. And what I love in this world is that we're all kind of in it together.
Yeah.
It's not like she's doing it so I can't do it,
No, there's just
or
enough widows for
she's not gonna,
everybody.
it is there is I mean it's actually really sad to say
Yes.
there are unfortunately um a lot of widows in this
Yep.
world.
More every
And
day. Hmm.
every day, like, there are becoming more and more. And if they see somebody reaching out their hand, or they, go online and search for something, we want there to be something. And whether,
Hmm.
it's your program or my program or someone else's program, because there's lots of really amazing women
Yep.
out there
Oh
doing,
yeah.
incredible things. And so we're all in this. Oh my God, we should have like a widow, like a conference of change maker. Oh my, here, see, now I'm brainstorming
Yep.
my own interview.
We got to bring
Uh,
together all these different groups that are all doing it in different
I
ways.
know, I know. We should all, get together and brainstorm and learn from each other.
Hmm.
But yeah, no, I am forever impressed. I mean, I remember the first time I met you, I was, so incredibly admired you, and I was like, oh, she has to come to my retreat. And then you came,
Yes,
I
thank
loved
you.
you there, and
Oh,
it
that was
looks
great.
like, you and Jen have created a really special relationship
Yes.
too, which I didn't
Yes.
even know about.
Yes.
So this is so great, and what I want. I say, my baby podcast. This is not a podcast in the sense that it's streamed on Spotify or Apple or any, of the podcast platforms. It's more of a discussion. And I
Yeah.
invite the people in the Hope Hub community to come on, be part of the interviews, and be part of a discussion after. And
Yeah.
so excited that Jen's here. And I
Me
totally want
too.
to know, like, what's going on with you guys?
Well, we got the chance to reconnect when she came out to Dallas in January, and she actually got to come. She came a day early, so we had extra time
Mhm.
together. There were 3 gens that came early. And so it was cool because we got to catch up in the car, and she told me how she'd been to another one of your retreats and how great it was. And And then she came to ours and she just stood up when we needed help. Okay, so I will admit it, we were not the most organized, only two of us doing it. Details is not my thing. Registration was a disaster. Jen stepped in, took my computer, made a spreadsheet, and started checking people in. I was like, thank you. Thank you. And so we've actually asked her to be the head of registration for next year. Like right
Oh.
now, as we're getting our online registrations, she's got access to that. And then as we go in, she's going to be doing registration for everyone. She just stepped up and made spreadsheets for everyone. Like it was like, let's make a spreadsheet for who's going to the airport at what time so we can coordinate. She's got a computer during dinner taking everybody's information. And I just love Jen and seeing her step into those roles and like just even the changes, Jen, I've seen in you since I met you as a baby widow, like not even a year ago. And so, yeah, we really got to know each other a lot better through this retreat. But I'll let you talk. I've just been talking the whole time, but that's basically it, right?
Jen, I mean, I don't know if you have any questions for Michelle, but first I'll start with that. Anything that you've learned from Michelle or that you have questions about her journey or something that's like really, drawn you to her. I would love to hear. Um,
Yeah, no. So, I mean, so first off, I'm, yeah, still, um, just past the 1 year mark.
Yeah, that's right.
Um, so first off, definitely grateful for both of you, because, you both recognize that there wasn't a lot of resources, and community for
Yeah.
widows, especially like Michelle, you said, young widows. I mean, all of us,
Yeah.
mhm.
out of 58 of us that were in Texas at the end of January, the majority of us were all in our mid 40s.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy?
So
Yeah.
yeah. um, so grateful for both of you for creating the communities that you have, because that's really one of the very first things that I stepped into. Was going to Jen's retreat last July and then meeting Michelle and just the community, um, of women that you meet on this journey has really just been amazing. Not a group that any of us want to be a part of, but the community and the connection is just so raw and real.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know. I always say you can say, I've been doing some speaking lately, and I always start by
Mhm.
saying, I'm going to share some things that you maybe wouldn't even share with your best friend.
yeah.
And that's how I feel when I'm in a community of widows too, that
Yeah.
like you can say whatever it is you're feeling, and
Mhm.
there's no judgment.
Right.
Um, and the chances are, if you have 52 people in a room, 48 of them, if not more, have
Yeah.
felt or are feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a widow the other day, and she asked me something, did you ever feel like this? And I was like, yeah. Like I said it in such like a of course. And she was like, oh, so I'm not the only one. And you're like, no, no, like we get it. We
Hmm.
get it.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
And it is a roller coaster. Um, and then
Hmm.
what's cool is Jen used so after the retreats I've done, we create a WhatsApp group,
Hmm.
and Jen's starting some new stuff too, and you
Yeah.
were able to
Awesome.
like brainstorm with the rest of us. So it's really come full circle. Um,
Yeah. I mean, you guys have both, too been an inspiration, kind of turning that pain into purpose. Um, because I mean,
you can tell us.
like, uh, you, uh, I mean, and my big thing too, like Michelle, like my faith has been a really huge part of my healing journey. So I know there's a lot more to my plan, a lot more to my story, and turning that pain into purpose. So, um, as a health coach, I obviously took a pretty big hiatus last year because I was
Yeah.
just not in a headspace to really be able to do what I used to do. And then actually in Texas, I had kind of like an epiphany.
Mhm.
Um, I tried a couple of times to get back into working with
Yeah.
clients and coaching last year, but through this widow journey, you do become a different person.
Yeah.
And so what your purpose may have been before, what your path may have been, really can drastically shift along this journey. So that's what I've been actually working on is
Cool.
totally rebranding my business and focusing more on, my focus before was women in perimenopause, which is a roller coaster in and of itself. And then you throw in, um, like for me, very suddenly, and Jen, but regardless, suddenly losing your spouse,
Yeah.
it just throws your hormones and everything just into even more of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's worse than a roller coaster.
Like,
Tailspin.
yeah. Blender. I was thinking thrown into a blender.
Yeah.
Yeah, blender.
Tornado, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm thinking that what's
Yeah.
that ride in Disney? Like you go up, 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 and then you just poof,
Yeah.
right. And that really is so being on this journey and being, in these different spaces and communities, recognizing there's not a lot of direction or support, or maybe even just like focus on wellness.
Yeah.
True.
Uh,
Hmm.
in my first year, I definitely was my worst client. Um, I'll be totally honest with that. But when I do notice when I'm eating right, when I'm, taking care of myself, focusing on the self-care, focusing on, sleep and stress management, it makes the healing journey easier.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I'm in this process right now of kind of taking that pain and turning it into a purpose to
Awesome.
help others. You know what? You really do need to, it's okay as a widow to be selfish.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah.
You know, um, whether you have younger kids, teenagers, older kids, you do need to kind of take some time and spend it on yourself. And,
Hmm.
Michelle, in your book, healing, it needs to become your job.
Yep.
It, it really, really does. So, yeah, so I'm excited to again have, kind of some pioneers like you guys that I've met and, access to these communities and just meeting so many other widow
Yes.
sisters. You can just have these really raw and real conversations that even, like Jen, you said, like even your best friend would be like, eh.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I love that you have found when you meet, it's for strip the whole widow from it, like, it's just incredible women.
Yeah.
You
yes,
know?
yes.
Like
We've
I think that
overcome.
all the time is like, even if we weren't widows, like I would still love to be like I still want to
Mm-hmm.
be friends with all these people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And you're inspired by them and you see what they do with their lives and their work and their, mission and their faith and what inspires them and you get inspired by all of that too. And again, Michelle, like I love how you've kind of created these capsules, whether it's your book or your podcast, your retreats and your nonprofit, like, you've been able to, create all of these different ways to
Yeah.
build community.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited about. I was thinking about how everything I actually in my launch of my new podcast, I just talked about this. Everything I did in my life, it was all for what I do now. So I was a teacher. So I was an elementary teacher. So I use a lot of my teaching skills. And then I did network marketing for many years, got to the top, close to the top of several companies. And I didn't like selling products. I love building teams. And so that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing now. I'm like using those skills. And I also was in my 20s when I started and I learned how to speak in front of people. I learned how to do all these great things. And now I'm doing all of that with what I'm doing. So it's crazy. I was challenging people on the podcast to think about what are all of your skills you've had over your life. Now, how could that turn into something else? Where's your life going to go? And so I think it's important that we help our widow friends to not just get through like that first year, but then, okay, what are we doing now? That's what launched this new podcast is like, okay, what are we going to do next? And honestly,
Right.
I'm tired of like doing the same thing over and over for 5 years. I've been doing widow work for 5 years. And so I'm like, something has to change. Like I got to
Yeah.
change something up a little bit. And
Yeah, no, I hear you. I sometimes, I think to myself too, like I do widow all day long.
yes.
And but you've built something, so incredible. Um, We don't have a ton of time left, but I'm going to ask you. I did not prepare you for this. I apologize.
It's okay.
What has been your most of all the things that you've done? It could be an event, it could be a speaking
Mm.
engagement you've done, it can be a guest, it could be, I mean, I'm sure there's a million of your favorite things, but can you think of one thing that's really stood out that you're like, I'm gonna remember this forever?
Yeah, can I pick two?
Yeah, of course. You pick
Okay.
three even.
I would say my book launch of Widow Goals was very beautiful. My friend who was like planned the whole thing, it was at her house. It was like a wedding. Like she had the table with the decor and like, I mean, it was beautiful. She's detailed. She used to be a party planner, like a wedding planner. And it was like a wonderful warm evening in May. And I felt beautiful. And all my friends were there and all my widow friends were there. And like, I put the crown on when I read the Know That You Are
Oh my God, I just got
Chosen. And
chills.
yeah, it was just a beautiful moment. And we have all these pictures, and I have a mirror and it says, Know that you're chosen. We took pictures like looking into the mirror, know that you're chosen. And it was just a beautiful time of like, whoa, look at this is the 5 year, like
Mhm.
5 years since Luke died. And look what's happened. And look at this community and look at this, this book and all of that. So that's definitely one of them. And then for me, I think the other really big moment is my daughter has now joined me in work. I haven't even talked about this yet, but Jen was there. So she's launched her own ministry. She said, I've been watching you and I want to do for kids what you do for widows. Like, I want to create what I wish was there. And so she created her own ministry and she launched it at the retreat. And it's called Parent Loss Goals instead of Widow Goals. And she's got some little line that goes with it. I don't remember. And she hasn't done much with it yet, but she's using Instagram as a place for, because her people are going to be on Instagram, not
Right.
Facebook like the old people, right? So she is going to just create like just inspiring little videos, and she's encouraging people to DM her because she wished she had somebody that she could talk to. And it's for, children, young adults, kids, like anybody who wants to. And so I think watching her tell her testimony, her story, had no idea what she was going to say at the retreat. It was the last day. She'd stayed up till 4 a.m. to do it because she procrastinated. And I shared a room with her, so I knew she was ready to like and anyways, then watching her, and she had like a video of her and her dad dancing in the PowerPoint. Like
Oh
I
my
was just
God.
bawling, and just
Mhm.
watching her get up there and saying how she felt like God told her, just trust me. And then now how all these things she's doing with her life and how she can't wait to help other people. I think that was another moment I will remember forever. And then everyone gathering around her and praying for her and just watching her step into what she is supposed to do, taking her pain and making something beautiful. And so that has been amazing, just watching her do that and knowing that this thing that was like extremely hard for her, she's made into something beautiful and now she's helping kids. So I think that's it. Those are the two biggest
That,
moments.
yeah. And I mean, they say there's a saying, I've heard it, it's a little whatever, but it's, our kids are watching from the bushes.
Yeah.
And this is like they're watching us, whether we realize it or not, and they watch what we do with our lives and they, become better kids and young adults because
Hmm.
they're seeing what we're doing. And you have been such an example for her that you've inspired her to do this. And I think it's, from what I hear, in these widow communities, it's a really big need too.
Yes.
Especially young adults, like college
Yes.
age
Yep.
kids,
Yep.
who are going off to school and they're like, well, we don't necessarily want, like everybody in your hometown kind of knows what happens, but
Yeah.
when you go off into the world, whether it's college or career or, moving or whatever, you kind of like don't know what you want your identity to be. Your
Yep.
identity, especially if you've lost a child or a parent at a young age, like your identity is like, oh, well, that's so and so. Remember her dad died.
Yeah.
And then all of a
Exactly.
sudden you're like this different person. And so, I'm so proud of her. I don't, I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
her, but I'm so proud of her,
I know.
for
She's
doing
19.
something,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, and she's 19.
She's 19, and one of our big visions is eventually to have retreats for the kids.
Yeah,
So,
that's
that would
that's
be amazing.
great. And
Maybe a
and
couple
that
different ones. Yeah,
yeah,
like maybe like younger through 18 and then young adults or something.
yeah,
And
I think that young adult space is like really, there are camps out there for like the little kids and stuff, but the young adult space is really untouched and it's a really hard, it's a really hard transition. I mean, you know that perfectly, more than anyone. how old are your kids now?
20, 20, 21, 22, 22, and 23.
Yeah,
Right.
so they're right at that age. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
wait, what is
yeah.
it? Kid one, kid two, kid three, and kid
Oh
four.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
I
numbered.
When
You
you
know
remember.
told
that.
me that, you're like, we just called out their numbers. They all
I
had a
remember you
number.
told me. Yeah, it's funny.
Yep,
Be
we
like
totally did.
one, two.
Yep, yep. If you call out 1 and 3 now, they will still come and
That's
answer.
so funny.
Yeah, yes.
I
But
love
no, it
that.
really is a
Well,
space that's needed. I sent the Haley's Instagram account to them like right away, like as soon as
Awesome.
she finished presenting.
yeah,
Because it is, they need, yeah, there's no support. There's, or it's very limited if there is
Yeah.
any support out there.
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, I know, one of when I was seeking out support groups myself, I don't know. I somehow convinced there's a bereavement center for kids here in town, and I basically convinced them to form a group of parents with kids over 18 because
Mm.
it's very different to lose
Yeah.
somebody when you're a parent of a young adult over 18 than it is when you're a parent of a
Yeah.
six-year-old.
Hmm.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, anyway, I'm sure the three of us could gab forever and
Yeah.
ever. But thank you so much, Michelle, for joining, and Jen, thanks for
Yeah.
participating in this
Yeah.
conversation. To anybody who's listening, I hope that you join these conversations as well. We all need each other. And Michelle, I mean, I wish you so much love and
Thank you.
luck, and I enjoy watching your journey. Like I just said, they're watching from the bushes. I'm watching from the bushes too. I keep up on all of your channels and watch everything that you're doing, and we
Oh,
will
thank
post, everything and anything that you're working on Hope Hub, so that people within the Hope Hub community can also get involved with your
awesome.
retreats and your nonprofit, and becoming Widow Goals leaders, and so forth. So yes, we will have that all available to everyone.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for
And thank
having
you
me.
so much, and have a wonderful evening, ladies.
All right, thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you both.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.